Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. I wanted to address something really quick that I was reading in the Washington Post, and it's an article by a very smart columnist by the name of Eugene Robinson. And the title of the article is that Trump has no idea what he's doing. Now, in this article, Mr. Robinson goes into detail to explain his perception of Trump, particularly as it relates to these negotiations with China and this trade war. And one thing he says is that Trump is thrashing around like a weak swimmer in a strong current, and that he has no idea what he's doing, none, not a clue. Now, he says that the evidence, based on what I'm reading with Mr. Robinson's article, is that the evidence is your 401k. He says, look at your 401k, and you can see that, the fact that your 401k is declining has to do with Trump's ignorance on the China issue, right? And so he then goes into explaining how Trump's negotiating style of throwing a fit at the last minute, and then wiping the deal off the table, and then coming back later and trying to force a better deal, how that's not working because the Chinese are retaliating, etc. Now, I'm reading the article. Now, I have a lot of respect for Eugene Robinson. I know he's been writing for a long time. But I think that one of the things that bothers me a little bit is I think that when it comes to analyzing Trump and the White House, there's not a lot of balance in the media. A lot of the reports I read, they either love him too much or they hate him completely. They either think he's a genius or that he's an idiot. And I think that this is not fair to the American people that just want the facts. And here's the thing. Here's what's fascinating about what Mr. Robinson said. If you're going to give Trump, if you're going to criticize Trump for the one-day drop in your 401k as a result of the negotiations with China, then you must also give him credit for the fact that your 401k had risen so much before the drop occurred, right? So what I'll do is I'll show you guys some evidence. Now, this is not me defending Donald Trump. I don't get into, I just don't get into the politics because I think it's so biased, it's so silly, it doesn't, it's so emotional. I'm into black wealth. I'm into black people building wealth and doing what's best for your family. I don't care if the Democrats or Republicans are in office, honestly. I just care about black people winning. I'm on Team Black. So I just want to make that 100% clear. I'm not a fan of Trump. I don't think he's an ideal president, just for other reasons outside of the financial. But at the same time, I think that sometimes when we get caught up in the emotionality of politics, it causes us to just not really see to see what we need to see, So what I'm going to do is I'm actually show you guys a chart that actually kind of makes my point. Again, where Robinson, again, if you're going to be objective in your criticism of Trump, you've got to also be objective in your compliments of what he might be doing with the economy. I'm not saying he's good or bad, but I want you to see this. Look, so Eugene was referring to the one-day drop in your 401k, right? And how your 401k declined, and that is conclusive evidence that Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, so with that said, I want you to look at today. Look at today's, your 401k jumped a lot today. The Dow went up 342 points. Now over a 5-day period, you did have a decline, but look at the last 6 months. You've had tremendous growth in the 401k, right? So you're seeing, I think here where we're down to 24,000. Now the Dow's up, it rose as high as 26,000, and now it's back down to 25,000. So, again, without me sounding like somebody who is a Trump defender, I don't defend Trump. I don't defend Obama. I never defended anybody unconditionally. I like them, and then I don't like them, depending on what's going on and what they're doing. I think it would be misleading to make the assumption that Trump's negotiating strategy with China is completely foolhardy, completely ignorant, completely without logic, and just doomed to be unsuccessful. Here's my interpretation of the relationship, the economic relationship between the U.S. and China, and it's actually bothered me for a long time. The U.S. has a huge trade deficit with China. In Powernomics, Dr. Claude Anderson writes about, this is one of my favorite books. He writes about something called the doctrine of unequal exchange. And basically the doctrine of unequal exchange is what's happening to black communities now is what happened in Africa, why Africa had so many of its resources depleted by the Europeans. The doctrine of unequal exchange is where I give you something really valuable and you give me something that's less valuable, right? And we keep doing that over and over. I'm giving you 5, you're giving me 3. Well, eventually what I have is going to drop and what you have is going to go up. And in fact, that's why I encourage economic intelligence in the Black community, because economically intelligent people can actually work trade in their favor. They know how to spot value. They know how to get people to let go of their value without realizing how much value they have. Almost like a person that knows art and they see a painting in your basement and you're like, oh, this old thing, I found it in the basement. I'll give it to you for $50. But they may be thinking, whoa, I know that that painting's worth $100,000 because that's a rare blah, 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 right? So knowledge and information gives you an advantage in trade, going back to China. So basically the United States and China have had a doctrine of unequal exchange in place for a very long time, where the Chinese are slick. They do powernomics at the nth degree, and the way they trade with the United States is hugely in their favor. If you go look at the trade deficit data, let me see if I can do a screen share, show you guys trade deficit between the U.S. and China, and let me see if I can find a chart that will actually show the trade deficit. And the trade deficit is basically what we're getting versus what they're getting. You know, they're doing to us what white people are doing to Black people, which is they're taking our money and taking our wealth and giving us a bunch of goods, right? We're buying more from them than they're buying from us. So let me show you this chart here. This chart says, you look here, it says the trade deficit keeps growing. So look at this. You see back in 2004, it was pretty big, but it kept growing. It was growing, growing, and growing. And so if you want to know why, I would argue that the Trump administration is upset in these negotiations with China, is because the Chinese are very smart. The Chinese know how to work trade in their favor. They're doing that in Africa. They're doing that in the United States. So there were people, myself included, I'm not gonna lie, they were happy to see somebody kind of confront China about currency manipulation, the theft of intellectual property. They will steal your ideas and steal your movies, steal everything in a second. When I was in China, I kid you not, I would go to China and I could find movies that weren't even in the US theaters yet, and they would already be being sold bootleg in China. I can't tell you how many places I went where I saw fake Air Jordans, fake Rolexes, fake everything. Uber can go anywhere throughout the world, but Uber cannot operate in China because China basically said, we're going to steal your business model and create our own version of Uber. Facebook is not in China. It's all over the world, but it's not in China because they said, well, we like the idea, but we're going to steal it, right? So the Chinese are really good at, as Dr. Claude Anderson refers to, the doctrine of unequal exchange. They've been kicking our ass on trade for a very long time. Now, is Trump the right guy to take a stand with China? I don't know. I know that he wrote a book 25 years ago before he got into politics. That, you know, politics is very divisive. People get to where they either love you, they think you're wonderful, or they hate your guts. You know, Dr. Ben Carson used to be a hero until he became political. Now he's either a hero or a villain, right? And that's what politics does. If Oprah went into politics, half the country would love her, half the country would think she was the Antichrist. You know, that's what happens. But Trump did write a book a long time ago, and I read the book about 25 years ago, called The Art of the Deal. He's not a complete idiot. He's not the genius that some people think he is. He is a guy that has made some mistakes. He is a guy that has a severe personality disorder, some narcissism, and he's a little bit weird. But he's not totally stupid, and he's not a wimp. He's not a wimp. And Obama, when I looked at Obama, I said he's a smart guy, but he's scared. He's not gonna really be willing to take it to the brink with China the way a Donald Trump would. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it kind of depends how it plays out. But one thing that's fundamentally clear, and I think a lot of economists would agree with me on this important point, is that somebody needs to stand up to China, because that trade deficit, it was gonna keep on growing. That trade deficit is, the Chinese are, we're so open, and we're like, oh, open borders, open economy, anybody. Do you know that they don't do any of that in China? They don't do that. They don't do no open border stuff in China. They're like, no, why would we open our borders up and let you take all of our stuff? We have open economy. Anybody can come and buy anything. We'll sell it to the highest bidder. We'll sell out all day. Well, in the Black community, we know that selling out doesn't strengthen your community. We don't play powernomics in the United States. We're very good at establishing corporations and businesses that go around the world and get resources, because our capitalist model is really good at making money. But we're not very good at protecting our assets. We're not very good at powernomics. The whole Chinese economy is built on Claude Anderson-like powernomics principles. And so they protect their economy. They won't let you come to China and just buy whatever you want. You got to get approval to buy things in China. So my point that I'm getting to here is that I think that the article that Eugene Robinson wrote, again, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong, because I have to be careful when I have these conversations, because people that don't know how to think, that aren't intelligent, will say, "Oh, you're a Trump supporter." I ain't supporting nobody. I'm calling it like it is. You know, I'm like a referee or a judge. I just want to call it like it is. But here's the thing: if you're gonna criticize the fact that your 401k dropped when the China negotiations started, then that logically implies that you must also give him credit for the fact that your 401k jumped in the first place. If you look at I'm gonna show you this chart one more time so you guys can see it. If you're on Instagram, you can't see it, but I'll just describe it to you so you can kind of know what I'm looking at here. And by the way, the chart was actually on theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's where I'm going to put this video, theblackfinancialchannel.com. All right, so you look at the last year. Look at how much stocks have gone up in the last year. And if you look at the last 5 years, so let's say we're in 2019, halfway through 2019 approximately. Go back to when Trump was elected. Now look at this. Look at this. November 4th, 2016. Look at how much wealth has been created for stock market investors since the Trump presidency began. This is not, now could this be coincidental? I don't know. Could this be just something Trump got lucky? I don't know. But I do know that if you're going to assume that he's screwing up the stock market now, then you must also assume that he built the market up to where it is in the first place. Because, look, pay attention. Back in November 2016, the Dow was at 17,888. It's risen to 25,670. I'm a stock market expert. I studied it for many years. I've taught it for 25 years at universities. That's a massive meteoric rise. That's an insane growth in wealth over a short period of time. Is it because of Trump? I don't know. I'm not even going to get into that. But I am going to say that, again, logically speaking, if you're going to criticize the administration for the fact that your 401k dropped on a Tuesday, then you must also give them credit for the fact that your 401k grew over the last 2 years, and that the money you're losing is money that you never would have had anyway if the market had stayed flat or had gone down, right? Now, again, to Obama's credit, though, Obama had a rise in the market as well. That's why I keep telling black folks, stop getting into these silly politics and these political discussions, Democrat, Republican. Oh, he don't like black people. So who cares if he likes black people? None of them like black people. You need to like yourself. Stop worrying about whether or not other people like you. You're worried about liking yourself. So look at Obama. You can see in the Obama presidency, you had a major rise. Go back to let me see, right here. This is about when you had the major crash. Where is it here? 2007, about right around here, I guess. Here we go. There's the deal. What am I thinking? So around 2008, 2009, you see that low of 8,400. Everybody ran from the market, like, oh my God, this is bad. We're losing money. Oh, so investing is stupid, right? People who can't, people who lose money in the market tend to be people who get trapped by the moment. People who lose money in the market tend to be people who look at what's happening right now and react to what's happening right now. People who win in the market are people who realize that what's happening right now is just a moment in time, and that what really matters is the big picture. What really matters is what's going to happen over the next 5 years. So around here, John Rogers, who's a billionaire in Chicago, wrote a great article about this. He said black folks lost trillions because we all ran away from the market in 2009, which was the absolute worst time to sell. It was the worst time to sell your assets. You getting out of the game right when your team's losing by 30 points. If you had stayed in the game, look at how much wealth has been created, how much money people made. People that bought in at 7,700 in the Dow, my God, now it's at 25,000. Are you kidding me? Stocks like Amazon that trade for $1,800, at that time they were trading for like $150. So let me just end the conversation on this. I think that when it comes to Trump and negotiation with China, I don't know how it's going to work out. It would not surprise me if it worked out in the favor of the United States. I do know somebody had to stand up to China because they've engaged in the doctrine of unequal exchange and have pretty much pillaged the United States and our stupidity for many, many years. I'm going to go ahead and say that. But now, is Trump the right guy? I don't know. Is it going to get worse? It probably will. But there are fundamental, when you analyze the markets, there are fundamentals right now that state that that the U.S. economy is strong, and that's ultimately going to be the driving force behind whether or not stock market prices, sustain themselves. This ain't the end of the world. The world's not coming. The economic world's not coming to an end. Could we dip into a recession because of the trade war? That's not impossible. That's one of the things Gene Robinson brought up in the article. He's not completely incorrect on that, but at the same time, I think that there are enough tools and levers in place that this is kind of a healthy exercise for the United States to kind of deal with somebody who is actually going to, for the Chinese to deal with somebody who's actually going to push back a little bit. And believe it or not, I'm just going to say this. This is something I don't even know how people are going to take this, but I'm going to tell you that I really believe that the Chinese probably respect the Trump administration more than they respected the Obama administration. I do believe that. That's just, I think that they are, probably saying to themselves, like, whoa, wait a minute, they're actually fighting back. Before, we were able to just get away with whatever we wanted. Now we got somebody who's actually who's a little bit crazy and who's gonna mess with us a little bit. So that's it. But just don't forget this too, because the two economies are so intertwined. I don't think this trade war is going to last forever. Every time somebody, it's like love. Every time you hurt your spouse, you're really hurting yourself, especially if your spouse retaliates. And I think they're going to keep the marriage together. There's too much money to lose, and I think that's how it's going to go. All right. So anyway, please hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button, like button, all that good stuff. Also, if you want to learn about stock market investing, feel free to check out my stock market program at theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a good day. Peace.